welcome to episode number 31.
Welcome to the Inner Singer Podcast, providing tools and techniques to strengthen your inner singer, your beliefs, your confidence, your mindset. And now, your host for the Inner Singer Podcast, Mike Goodrich.
Well, hey there, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Inner Singer Podcast. This is Mike Goodrich here again. And I must admit, here I am sitting in a car, but I'm actually on my computer. I'm waiting for my little boy to finish a class. We homeschool him, and therefore he has lots of fun classes with his friends. And I'm sitting out at 9 o'clock in the morning in a van, my minivan. Not a van down by the river, but an actual minivan. Which, incidentally, is the favorite car that we've ever had. We've had all kinds of different cars since my wife and I got married, and this Chrysler minivan is our favorite. And we've had Land Rovers and Volvos and all kinds of things. This thing is just crazy. It's like riding in a plane. But anyway, I digress. It's fun. It cracks me up. A minivan. I'm a minivan guy now. But anyway, here I sit with computer in hand, actually on lap, and no good microphone because I didn't plan on doing a podcast. So I'm speaking into the onboard computer mic. So I hope this is not too bad. I'll do the best I can in editing to make it sound better. But anyway, I did not plan on making a podcast, or I would have brought a better mic. But the reason I was inspired to make it is because of my drive here and the state that I found myself in. And I don't mean the state of California. I mean that the emotional and mental state that I found myself in during the drive, and what I did and what I'm doing to shift that a little bit. One of the things is this podcast, actually. So thank you for helping me shift my emotional state after this drive, which was not bad at all. But I'm going to tell you exactly the story behind it and this whole thing, and see if this makes any sense as far as singing. And if I find that it doesn't make any sense as far as singing, you're not listening to this anyway because I didn't publish it anyway. So if this does come out the other end, then it'll make sense. Here we go. So anyway, I take off from the house, my little boy in the van with me. And so we leave the house, and the first street that we turn left on, there's usually nobody on. I never wait. I just pull up to the stop sign, look both ways, turn left. There's never anybody on it, right? Today, all kinds of people on it. So I'm looking, and I'm feeling into this, and it's like 10 to 9. The class starts at 9, and it takes 10, 12 minutes to get there with no traffic and making all the lights. So I'm starting to feel this already. And so, I look off into the distance on the left, which is the direction we're going to be going, and the light is green. And I'm thinking, what are these people doing on the road in my way when I have places to go? Seriously, this is what I'm thinking. Why are these people on the road? Why is everybody out to get me here? So anyway, finally, the road clears, the lane clears. I turn left. And, of course, the light now that I'm heading towards has finally turned red. And now I'm behind a few cars. It finally turns green, and off I go. And I'm just about to make it through another green light, and it turns red. And in the distance, I see the light that I need to get onto the freeway, which is an arrow turning left onto the freeway. And it's green. And I realize if I'd only made this light, I would have made that light. And I'd be sailing on the freeway. I'd be on time. So now what's tracking through my mind is, if there'd been nobody on the road, and there usually is nobody on this road, I would have made that. I would have made the first light, the second light. I'd be on the freeway. I'd be sailing. Instead of stewing in my own emotional pot right now, as I look off into the distance to see the freeway light turn green, and I'm still at a red light. So by the time my red light turns green, and I'm hustling to get to the freeway light, which is red by now, I don't get there in time to trigger the light because it's a left turn light and you have to be there to trigger it. So the light turns green, but not my light. So I have to sit there through the whole round of lights again. And it seems like it's just taking forever. And, I'm not saying anything, but I'm kind of stewing. And I'm trying to be, I'm looking at this now. By now, actually sooner than that, but certainly by now, I'm looking at this thinking, what in the world would I have to believe to be getting this upset about people on the road and red lights? What's going on here? And so I thought, well, the first thing is I could have left earlier. But then I think, well, I don't know, could I have left earlier? I got up really early. I was ready. It's got to be my wife's fault. She slept late. So let's see if we can blame her. And my little boy, no, he picked up the iPad to show us some Pokemon stuff when he shouldn't have, and he wasn't eating his breakfast, so it's his fault. And then I'm thinking, but was I actually ready? Was I waiting for anybody, or was I like loading the van and getting everything? I said, you know what? No, okay, so number one, my responsibility. I'm really angry at myself, and I'm projecting it onto all these people, and I'm projecting it onto all these lights, and I'm looking for some way out, right? And the other thing that hits me as I'm pondering this and becoming aware, I'm just creating awareness at this point, and I was really ticked off. But I'm creating awareness. I'm thinking, this is not that great a state. So can I create some space here, some awareness? Clearly there's a part of me that's really upset about all this. I know intellectually that it's completely ridiculous, and yet I still feel it in my body. So I'm sitting there, and I think, wow, okay. So my responsibility, okay, I could have gotten up later. I could have made sure I was ready to go. And then I have no control over other people, although, some would say you theoretically should have control over your son. But those of you who have kids know that that's not always the point or the case. And so anyway, I'm thinking, okay, what else? What would I have to believe? Think, whoa, I'm really looking for perfection here. I don't want anybody on the road. I don't want any traffic. I want all the lights to turn green, and I don't want anything disturbing my flow here. Don't anybody get in my way. No challenges here. So I'm thinking, what in the world is that about? And it hits me. I'm the same way with weather. I live in Southern California, and most of the time it's like, man, it's just too hot. Why is it so hot here all the time? We have no seasons. It's just Groundhog's Day. Every day you get up. And last night it was freezing, and this morning it's cold, and I realize, I'm coming outside last night to move all the cars and pull the trash cans in and everything, and I'm thinking, it's freezing. Why does it have to be so cold? And I literally start laughing at myself, and I think, I'm talking to myself like inwardly and saying, dude, you are the biggest perfectionist on the planet. You want perfect weather. You want your child to be perfect. You want your voice to be perfect. And I'm hoarse today, as you can hear. And you want traffic to be none. And you want the perfect life. How did you ever pick that up? And I thought, well, I was involved in a practice years and years ago for many, many, many years that led me to believe, and certainly this was my interpretation of it, but it led me to believe that if I got a cold, or if I didn't find a parking place right away, or if there was a big line at the grocery store, or anything kind of interrupted my flow so that everything wasn't really, really easy, I was doing something really wrong. I wasn't an awakened guy. I wasn't a spiritual guy. I wasn't, whatever, but it was my fault. I was doing something wrong. I was missing the boat. And so I would always turn that against myself. And so I'm feeling that this morning, same old thing, right? I'm feeling it this morning as I'm driving here. What's wrong with me? Why did I not leave a second or two earlier? What's wrong with me? There should be nobody else on the road. If I was doing things right in my life, I would have made these lights. Yes, of course. This is the conversation I'm having, right? It's like, yes, of course. Okay, I left a little late, but really, if I was doing things right, there would have been nobody on that road. I would have made the left turn. I would have made all the lights. I would have been totally on time. Things would have gone my way. What is against me? And seriously, these are the thoughts that are going through my mind. Just like the biggest victim in the world, right? All because there was some traffic and, some red lights. So anyway, I created some space, or I couldn't create space. I allowed for some space, some awareness to come in, and I looked at it and I tracked it just like I'm doing now. Started to see a little bit of the humor of it and thought, I'll make a podcast about this and talk it out, share my process, share what's going on. Because, if you folks have been with anybody who's listening, who's been with me for a while or listening to this podcast for a while or been on any kind of a path to awaken for a while, you realize that the same things kind of come up in different areas of your life. As I've said before, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. And so you notice things. And we all, the perfectionist in me, and perhaps maybe if you have that tendency as well, we really want these things to go away fast, don't we? I mean, come on. I don't like feeling like this anymore. This is ridiculous. How long do I have to work on myself? But the whole working on yourself mentality and whole working on yourself idea involves so much mental exertion, and it comes from the same operating system, if you will, or belief system that's creating the whole habit trail of this pattern anyway. What we really need, and let's talk about myself. I'll talk about myself. What I really need is space to be able to create that awareness and become aware of the pattern and see it in action enough so that I come to a place where I can make another choice. And sometimes that other choice happens immediately, and sometimes you have to talk your way through a podcast to get to it. I recommend you all do podcasts. So anyway, how does this relate to singing? Well, let's think about that for a second, because I've certainly had this in singing. And if you're out there auditioning, if you're performing, you certainly have had with the audition idea where you go in, it doesn't go as well as you think or as you had hoped, and you get in the car and you sing the song and it goes great, and you beat yourself up. I'm such an idiot. Why couldn't I do this in the audition? Or the performance, or the lesson, or, or singing for somebody, or whatever. Or why didn't it go as well today as it went yesterday? What am I doing wrong? What's wrong with me? My voice should be perfect. And yes, I realize I already did a podcast talking about perfection, but this is a little bit of a different take on it, and certainly bears repeating. Because the awareness of this is really important. We need to allow for some space between our reactions, our behavior, our patterns, our wiring, and our conditioning, and who we really are, the awakened part of us, the part of us that can say, wow, I see that part of me is really ticked off right now at all the people on the road, or at my voice, or at this producer, or at this director, or at whatever. And then we have a little space to see, yeah, but what is the part of me that is aware of this other part of me that's angry, upset, frustrated? Okay, well, there's another part that seems to be aware of that. So at that moment, I'm becoming present with it. So I'm separated from it a bit. I'm no longer just in it. I'm no longer the guy sitting at the light stewing, thinking, I can see this light's not going to turn green fast enough for me to make the light up there and actually get on the freeway. So I'm stewing. As long as I'm in it, it's really hard to allow that space. But breathing in, taking a breath, being present with where you are, being present with where I was. Okay, I'm here. I'm sitting at a red light. It's totally okay. It's where I'm supposed to be. Don't look to where you think you want to be and create stress because you're not there. So I read a quote recently, and it was something to the effect of stress comes from being here but wanting to be there. So I think it was Eckhart Tolle, actually. My father-in-law loves Eckhart Tolle and is a member of his membership site and sends me his emails. And I started reading his emails and watching videos every once in a while, and I quite like him, some of the things. I really do. He's very, very cool. That's not where I came up with the whole idea of presence, by the way. But he certainly talks about that a lot, and it is hugely important. I just thought I'd share that with you. I believe that's where that quote came from. And it's really, really true. And as I was sitting there, I really experienced that. It's like, wow, okay, I'm here. If I was okay with being here, and if I was present with being here, that'd be fine. Except I'm actually physically looking at a light that I want to make, so I'm there, but I'm really here. But I'm upset that I'm not there, so I'm not being present while I'm here. So that wanting to be there when I'm here is creating all this stress. It sounds like that old who's on first, who's on second. I don't know who's on third. No, what is it? Who's on first, what's on second? I don't know who's on third. Anyway, it's old joke. And I'm probably much older than you guys, so I probably... Anyway, that joke's way older than I am, so... But anyway, I digress yet again. This is what you get when I do a podcast in a car. But anyway, I hope it's decent information for you today. So what's the moral of the story? I guess the moral of the story is be present with where you are vocally. Now, it's okay to have intentions, ideas, even goals, I guess. I'm not real big on goals, as I've talked about in a previous episode. But that's okay. You can certainly have goals, provided that you bring a real awareness and presence to where you are now, and a real appreciation for where you are now vocally, and a real gratitude for where you are now vocally, and be where you are vocally. Goals are great. Goals are fine. We talk about mental rehearsal, even visualization, all kinds of things. But the important thing is that we don't focus on where we want to be so much that we lose the presence in where we are. Because if we're not present with where we are, it's darn near impossible to get where we want to go. And again, as I've said in the episode on goals, and if you haven't heard that, it would be a good listen for you, I think. Whenever we set goals, we're generally setting goals from the wiring and the programming and the conditioning that's current to us. So instead, sometimes a really wonderful practice is to just be present where you are and let the mystery and the magic of life open up, rather than being so linearly focused, I can't, on a goal that it's like, okay, this goal or bust. I'm burning all my bridges. I'm going there. You hear all these people all the time that are successful business people, or they're making lots of money, or they're whatever, and they say, I set a goal and I burnt my bridges. Just like the explorers used to go and they'd find land and they'd burn their boats because they didn't want any way to leave. They're gonna win or perish. It's like, really? Yeah, I'm sure that works, once in a while. That doesn't feel like my, road. That inspires, that stresses me out just thinking about it. I'm going to do this or bust. So my invitation is to be present with where you are with your voice. Bring love, bring appreciation to where you are. And as you do that and you pay attention to that, and you're really present and in the moment with that, I think you may be very surprised with what begins to unfold with your voice. You could be led to the right program, the right teacher, the right book, your intuition, whatever. And you may end up having so much more facility and so much more voice and so much more fun than you ever dreamed of having had you set a particular goal. In other words, the goal that you set, no matter how lofty, may pale in comparison to what you may actually grow into if you're present with every moment with your voice. Anyway, I look down, and as usual, it's about 20 minutes, so I am going to sign off now. I hope this was useful to you, and I hope the sound quality is okay. And I will talk to you in the next episode of the Inner Singer Podcast. Bye now. Thank you for listening to the Inner Singer Podcast. And please share this with all of your singing friends. And head on over to iTunes and subscribe. And if you found it of value, give us a nice rating. Thanks so much.